Hello, welcome to First Journey Across the Bridge. I'm Fausia. Thank you for joining me on YouTube. I hope you are subscribed. I hope you are clicking the notification bell. And as well, if this information here that I share, it's something that is beneficial to you, I hope you click like. Okay, so you know how we do this, right? Before we go anywhere, we're going to do 3 conscious breaths. Okay, so let's go. 3 conscious breath. Top center. I hope that as I am taking 3 conscious breaths, that you are as well joining me, because it is so good. It feels so good. So I'm sitting here. Have you ever had one of those like sleepy moments where you can't keep your eyes open, where you're like, what's happening? But I've been wanting to talk to you guys about this for the last couple of days, so I thought, let's do it. Let's shake off this slumber and do it. So yes, here on YouTube is where I come and share with you guys realizations, tools, as I am on my journey to heal my childhood wounds, but also just to really live the best version of my life, best version of myself, the best version of my life. So in the last couple of days, I had noticed something and I thought, what an observation. So, and I think in the past, when things were too heavy, I would not tune into it until I was able to unload the load, until I could put it down. Then I would be like, what is that? It's like there's a line on my face. As you can see, staying warm, even though indoor. Yeah, it's like, I didn't even, okay, focus, got this. But I'm noticing more and more in recent days where I am, I'm paying attention to the load. Like I'm paying attention to the load. And I guess now I'm able to do that because I've understood not to internalize it. Like it's one thing to say, okay, this is a heavy load I have to carry. What is the process? Do I pick it up all at once? You know how they always show you those moms who do groceries and they carry like the whole bag all at once because they don't want to go back in. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, do I want to carry the whole thing at once? Do I go bring some in and come back at the rest? Like, what's the process? And are there any risks to doing it? Is there any risk to bringing all at once? Do you hurt your wrist? Do you pull a muscle? Is there a risk to leaving some out in the car while you bring some inside? Like, what's the risk associated, right? So, either way, there is a process. So, the whole point of the process is to reduce any type of like issues that can arise. So, it's, okay, there's a heavy load that must be carried. And also, you have to identify, is it a must is it a must or that needs to, or can it wait, or is there another option? And so, yeah. And so there's this conversation that's like happening out in the social media world where it's like, the man provides and protects, the woman cooks and cleans. It's like, those conversations. So being that Okay, so the realization I had was, oh, the realization I had went like this. I went, oh, I am a homemaker. And I had been before, right? When I didn't work, when I stayed home, and my partner then was the provider, financial provider. So then I knew I was a homemaker. But in the last couple of years, I've been the provider. And as I am observing all the responsibility that I also have in terms of, cooking, in terms of cleaning, in terms of like, all hands on deck, realizing like just the stuff I do every day, and even though the responsibility is shared with my kids, I'm there going like, listen, like I am the homemaker and I am the provider. And I'm like, my goodness. So it's like it brought me into this like this moment of like, oh, right here is where one could get married and um, you know, remains just the homemaker and have a partner that is the provider. And then I was like, I see how this moment could introduce that as an opportunity, right? And then I also thought about how, don't let me lose my train of thought. Yeah, so that was that. And then what was the other thing I was thinking? Yes, and I was thinking how the conversation is like, why does the woman have to cook? Why does the woman have to clean? Why does the woman have to be the one who does this and that? And when that conversation always comes up, the part that I usually challenge is, well, the why does it have to be the woman's responsibility? Why can't it just be responsibility? And so, in a partnership where people are discussing that, they have to decide what works for them, right? And my thing was always, this is what I already do, right? And I don't do it out of the fact that it only belongs to me. I do it as I'm the one who's the parent, right? I'm the individual parent who's doing it. So it's my responsibility to be the provider and the homemaker. And these are skills that I pass on to both my boys and my girls. It's like life skills. I don't need either one of them starving or not having the skills to be able to provide and sustain themselves. And so the conversation where we eat a home cooked meal every day, maybe once every 2 weeks, once a month, we might have takeout. But every day there's 3 meals being cooked, especially on the weekends. So it's a I think it's not I think it's a lifestyle. It's a way of being. It's a way of being that I know of how I grew up. So it's almost like a custom that was passed on to me and one that I carry. And so, say I have guests, when the guests come to my home, I provide beverage, I give them food to eat, right? And I don't look at it as, why do I have to do this? This is part of my custom, right? This is part of my culture. And so it's like we call it adi. It's like it's something that is it's not just expected, like I expect you to do this, but it's part of how we carry ourselves. So it makes sense. Like, oh, I think I'm gonna have a better explanation of it, but not at this moment because I don't want to lose my other train of thought. So let's go back to the women should cook, the women should clean. It's almost like someone else assigning that to the woman, even though I come from that culture, even though I come from men are not in the kitchen. And having the opportunity to be exposed to a different type of reality where I have seen both, right? To know that they could be a healthy combination. And so whenever there's this conversation where it's about who should be cooking, who should be in the kitchen. And I'm always going, well, there should always be an option of hiring someone and then so on. So there's many options. But just the idea of women should be in the kitchen, for a man to say to a woman, you should be in the kitchen cooking and cleaning, the issue that I have with that is the one person needing to assign it to someone, right? For me, this is how I grew up. Um, this is how I show up. So this is something that is natural to me. Like I'm always going, men shouldn't tell women how to be women, and women shouldn't tell men how to be men. So it's, for me, it's almost, it's the same. It's like when a man is telling a woman she should be in the kitchen cooking and cleaning. I feel like you're telling a woman who to be and how to be. If that's part of how she identifies, then that's part of her identity. But this assigned identity that women are better at cooking or cleaning, or women should be the ones cooking or cleaning, I feel like it's just so, if it works for the people, it works, but it just seems like, don't tell someone else who they are and who they should be. Do your part, let me do my part, right? Let me do my part, and if you see the part that I'm doing and you enjoy and you want to take part in that, great. If you don't want to take part in that, don't. But it shouldn't be someone else's responsibility to say, you in this role should do that. So it's an assigned role. So you have to be very careful with that. And I know that it's generations and generations of this role being passed down, but we're in this timeline where people are choosing the roles they want to play. And so so I hear the other part where people are like, I don't have to be in the kitchen, I don't have to cook. It's someone basically explaining who they are, and they're saying they're saying that they don't identify with that. And I always hear that, and I always go, if I know how to be me, I don't need someone else to tell me how to be me. And if part of being me is cooking or cleaning or decorating my space and providing like hospitality for people when they come in, and just love sharing food with others. Like, I wouldn't mind someone else doing it, of course not, but I will be delegating the whole time. So, and that's also something I grew up with too, having chefs and maids and people who clean after you and people who cook for you. So it's like having the experience of both again, where then I understand, like, yes, even though I would say, hey, I would say to the chef, this is what we're going to eat today. Can you cook this for us? Right? My partner might come to me and say, hey, I would like to have this today. And then I can then tell the chef, right? So it's like, it's whatever lifestyle you want to experience. Bottom line, right? I'm not going to tell a man how to be a man. And I always find it so like a weird question when people want to find out, like, you know, yeah, like, I find it weird when someone wants to find out if certain attributes or qualities or ways that you, certain actions that you might do, will define you as a woman. And so, yeah, I was just thinking about that, and I was like, oh, I'm a homemaker. Right now, I'm a homemaker. So if a partner comes into my life, not if, when, and this is something that I think a few times when people have brought it up to me, in the sense of like, someone that I had been like considering or whatever, I always find it to be like someone trying to tell me how to be or who I am. And I always find it very funny because I cook every day, like literally. So it's like I find it a bit, and I don't do it because I'm trying to do it to impress. I'm feeding us, right? And I like my space clean, so I clean my space. Now, the reason I find it funny and a weird question is because I feel like As you get to know someone, you'll just see how they live their lifestyle. And yes, and question is one of the things you can ask, but don't assign a title or a role to somebody. Don't. Find out who they are. Ask the questions, find out, but don't assign. I think to me is the assigning, or like is the part that makes those questions weird as well is because I'm not sure um if we if there's, I don't know, like, it's as women, um this is like your whole life of being who you are, right? And sometimes the questions that are asked is almost like it's a foreign species that doesn't know anything about women that is asking certain type of questions. And it's the type of questions that are being asked that I find like or a bit weird. And plus, you have to remember, we all come, not all, we have many different cultures. So there's different practices, right? So it's better to get to know what are the practices that people have. Because in trying to find out if somebody practices a certain type of behavior, you might find out, like, you know, they're doing it much more better than you. Like, and not just to flex or to be rude or anything, but it's like, yeah, there's cultures and customs that are really um, have a different lifestyle. So, in trying to get to know somebody, ask the questions and get to know them, and don't assign what their role should be. Just know what you would prefer to experience in the partnership. So that's that. And oh, these train of thoughts lately, I don't know what's going on. I think I might have too much on my mind. What was I going to say? Yes, and the provider. I was like, when you are in a position to provide for yourself, you're not sitting there going, "Oh, I'm a provider and I'm a homemaker." Like, you don't see the separation. And whenever there's a break in between um, you being a provider and not being a provider, you start to realize, like, even though I'm not out there working 8 hours or 7.5, whatever, per day, I still put in work at home. Like, and the work at home don't end, right? The the bathroom needs to be clean, the laundry needs to get done, the food has to be cooked, and mind you, the groceries has to be purchased, right? So imagine one household, everyone is out, like 7 a.m. out of the house, and then by like 4:30, everybody starts to come in one at a time. And then say you have dinner at 6:30. Okay? Dinner 6:30 or 6, whatever the time is. Some days like later. And then everybody goes off to do their homework, right? What's a homemaker's homework? To maintain the home. So when everybody's off to doing their homework, a homemaker would get up and tidy up the house and put it back to new again so it could be used again for the next day. And then you repeat the process. And then your weekends are you either sleeping in, and then by the time you get up, you have like groceries to do, you have errands to run, you have, when do you ever have time to not do all those things? So it's like, basically, that's two jobs. Like, I'm not even counting the chef and the maid and all the other stuff. And now we have like, if you were to add, you order your groceries online, deliver it, that's a job somebody gets paid for. So if you include you going to do the groceries and coming home and putting them away, that's a job. That's a third job you can add to it. And so it's like, you start to realize, like, there's a lot of work that a homemaker does at home. There is a lot of work, and it's labor work. It's not sitting at a desk pretty talking on the phone, sending, like, you know, sending emails and answering, like, creating documents. Yes, it's like going to the factory. It's labor. It's labor. You feel it because it's manual labor. Seriously. I was just thinking that. And I was like, wait a minute. I do have it in my veto pocket. Okay, since I'm already doing this, right? Because all the conversations out there that are like the conversations out there that are like the conversations out there that are about being a homemaker and one partner being the provider. Like I come from that culture, so maybe I'll take a break. Maybe I'll take a break from being a provider. Maybe I will find myself a partner who's a provider because I'm telling you. And this is the conversation that I actually wanted to have. So I was asking myself, I said, um, I said, if I'm already a homemaker, you know, I'm taking care of, you know, the important things for me and the kids, what we need, and so on. If I'm already a homemaker, right? Um, what would be the difficulty like? Because I used to be married, right? And there were times where I was just a homemaker, and then there were times where I was a homemaker and I was in a provider. I was working, but I wasn't necessarily providing like what we say the big bills. I was more like buying clothes for the kids or decorating the home and so on. So my money didn't have so much responsibility attached to it. It was more like some of the basic needs, right? Um, so there was a time I did both. And so now that I am doing both, but then the income that I bring in has to go into like big expenses. It's like, and you got to keep going, right? And then you still have to come home and be a homemaker. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, man. And so when a partner comes in, the question that I now, from the people, like, when people ask you questions where, like, you know, would you assume the responsibility of being the one who cooks and cleans the home? And it's something I already do. Now, there's a difference between naturally doing something and then someone having an expectation of you doing it, because that changes things, right? Like, yes, my kids expect to be fed, right? My kids expect for us to have a clean home, so we clean it together, we cook together, like we take part in, right? Even though I am doing, you know, one majority of something, we're still taking part in. And I think that's also important to notice, right? So it's like, come help me with this. Come and take lead of this meal that we're making. Go and do this chore at home. That do this chore that needs to be done. So the work is divided. The work is divided. Now, great conversation around how is the overall work divided? How is the overall financial responsibility divided? And I think if each person, each partner understand who they are, understand what their preferences are, and understand what they bring to the table, then they can create a healthy balance. Because I already have, right, the homemaker aspect. I already, um, delegate and we work as a team to maintain the home. I also provide. So when I take a break from providing, what would that look like if I were to um, choose a partner that doesn't mind that I take a break from being a provider? Like, what would that look like? What would the expectation be? That's the conversation. Because if somebody is saying, I'll carry this load, it's like a negotiating thing, right? It's kind of, and I like that better, and I think most people would like that better because it's it's a fair, when there's a fair exchange, right? Because if the person does not go to, um, and the thing you have to remember too, Sometimes work ends at a certain time, right? Like you you're not working from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 10 p.m. So imagine like when does the time for the homemaker, when is her time like off work, right? Because if a partner, say one partner goes to work from like 8 to 4, whatever the time is, and then they come home after 5 or 6, they're done working. So does the homemaker, what time do they start their shift? When do they end their shift? Does their shift go until, what time? From 8 to 8? Is it 12 hours or when? And so that's where the complication comes in, where you're understanding like the value exchange. The person going to work might say, to the employer, this is how much per hour I want to get paid for the value of work I put in. So sometimes homemakers feel like the value of the work they put in, right? It's not paid accordingly. It's not equally compensated. So they feel like, wait a minute. And this is where the responsibility has to then be a family responsibility, not necessarily one person's responsibility. Because if you don't value a person's work between such and such time, they will start to feel unvalued, unappreciated. Glad we sorted out, because sometimes you got to talk through these things. But yeah, it was coming up for me. And I have to tell you right now where I am in my healing, in my, I don't know why my camera's off focus a bit, in my healing, in my doing the work. And I am having the realization that I wouldn't mind taking a break from being a provider and being a homemaker who gets to work from 8 to 4, take on the whole responsibility of whatever I can get done from 8 to 4, and then after that it's a group effort. We all gonna, from like 4 till the time it's a group effort that needs to then apply. I wouldn't mind, like, because let me tell you, it is exhausting, is what I'm realizing. And this is also part of the healing, right? Not only to understand what you can handle over a short period of time compared to a long period of time, and also the type of work you might do out of the house. And you know how, like, even to get to work, right? Like, you might spend hours going to work and coming back. Like, that's also time that you can save. And your well-being, in terms of realizing how you're wearing multiple hats, right? You're the delivery person for the groceries. You're the person who's providing. You're the homemaker. It's like I am realizing that I need to, and I get now why people have many streams of income, and they have incomes that is just like, what is it called? It's called passive income. Like your money is just working for you. Like there's not anything you have to do. Yes, I need multiple streams of income. That can help. But until then, it's good to realize, right, that there's also that option. And not to say that I didn't already know, because that's something that, like I said, is part of my culture, where I am cooking, I am cleaning, I am maintaining my home. It's not only a joy, it's like an honor. It's something that is like the woman of the house, right? It's something that not only was I raised to do, but it's something that we did, something that we do. And so not only is that something that is, yeah, all of that. And so just realizing that as I am also being a provider, would I consider being also just a homemaker for a bit? Would I consider? And so you want to remember something. You don't want that to be the reason you go and then court someone or get married. So this is not the statement for that. This is not why I'm saying all of this. I'm basically saying, like, I'm having the realization that I can also give that to myself as an option. A partner who's saying to me, you know, do you mind taking on the responsibility of being a homemaker, right? From 8 to 4. Do you mind taking on the responsibility of being the homemaker? It's like, I'm realizing this is where I haven't visited in a long time. Maybe in the like 6, 7 years. I've just been on go, 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 and being the provider, that I didn't put on my bucket list. You know, sometimes you're creating these lists of like the partner you want to bring into your life and so on, right? So, and of course, your girl has ideas for days, like in terms of creating my own business and in terms of like skyrocketing. That's like I need a pause. Can I pause? Can I rest? Can I rest my pretty little self for a moment? Can I just have a moment to myself? Please and thank you. And then I'm back at it. Like, I need to rest. Like, this should even be that. Like, partners should really allow each other rest. The woman could take a certain time to rest. And then once she's done resting, then the men could take time to rest from work. Because I feel like we need it. We're doing this go, 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 like it's insane. And yet you're going and going and going to be able to provide. But the house responsibility does not end. So then what? Right? So just wanted to come on and say I was having this whole conversation with myself, and I'm glad I sorted it out, because I was really finding that anytime a man would ask me something like, what do you think about women being the one responsible to cook and clean? To me, it was like, it wasn't acknowledging who a Pacific woman is. It was saying all women, and not understanding that every woman gets to choose for herself. Don't speak for a woman, right? Like, for me, I'm all about speaking for yourself, and I speak for myself. And so if you ask me who I am as a woman, right, what are the things that I do on my day-to-day lifestyle, then I can tell you. But I feel like even if other women are saying a woman's place is in the kitchen and cleaning, they don't get to choose for every woman. Doesn't matter who's saying it, whether men or women are saying it. The issue I'm having with it is speaking for someone. And we say it's okay because it's been done for generations and generations. Like, you go in my country, yeah, it's and especially in the Islamic faith mostly, but not every. And that's why I'm saying, like, times are changing. People are choosing for themselves. People are choosing for themselves. Okay? People are choosing for themselves. So find out what works for you and lean into that. And if you are engaging or interacting with someone and they want to define who you are and they want to tell you what your role is, then just know when that's not for you. There's no need to even dispute on it or anything. I always used to just think, this is such a weird question. Like, now I have to go explain to you if I have value, and you're putting my value based on what I can cook, how I can clean. Like, I'd like someone to cook for me too. I would like a delicious meal too, but I also know how to make it. You see what I'm saying? So, and this all came into realization when I stopped brushing the fact that I was carrying a heavy load and started just realizing the heavy load. Just realizing it. Hey, this is a bit heavy. Right now, this load that I have is a bit heavy. And based on the resources that I have, I'm not necessarily able to lighten the load. So it's like, though I'm in the process, It's like you get to that middle place where you're like, ooh, when your muscles haven't yet stretched fully, you start to feel the pressure. You feel how intense it is. And then I was like, man, this homemaker responsibility is no joke. Like, it needs to get done, and you need to provide. It's no joke. So it brought it home for me where I just said, okay, I need to sort this out. And who better to share it with than you guys? So, of course, I'm always talking to myself and nobody else. But I'm glad if you tuned in and listened and picked up any kind of information that was shared here that can help you. And if you have a lot of load, remember to rest. Part of your healing is, though you're going through the journey of like doing the work to release past wounds and trauma and hurts. Remember to be present in the moment too and see what's going on now. Because if you don't pay attention now, you might just create more trauma for yourself that you have to deal with later on. So be in the present moment now. See what's happening now, and see if you can cultivate the skill to be able to know that you have loads to carry, but that you don't internalize it where it then becomes a physical weight that you actually feel. It might be emotional, but it might be mental, but don't let it transfer into that physical where you actually start to feel the aches and so on. And if you need to rest, don't fight with your body. Don't fight with your mind. Don't fight with your heart. If your body is telling you right now, I need you to rest, find a way to rest. And all things will work themselves out. Believe me. Believe me. Just as you did not create yourself to be in this reality by yourself, you're not in it by yourself. You have full divine support. And lean into that. And though things might look like they're completely falling apart, and maybe they are, but right on the other side of that, there is jewels waiting. There is jewels on the other side. Trust that on the other side, that if this fall apart, what good will come out of it? Because it does. We sometimes only focus on the worst case scenario. But what I've learned is, when I sit back and I surrender into relinquishing, just letting go of the power to control things so that they turn into a certain outcome, the fog is gone, and I get to make decisions that are fully supported into my power. I get to make powerful decisions. I get to make decisions from a powerful place. I get to ground myself, and I get to consciously choose. This is what the outcome is. So though you might fear that you don't want a certain outcome to happen, but what if that outcome happens, that which you fear? But right on the same serving, the best outcome you could ever ask for is also served. If you could just learn not to let the outcome that you feared cause you to miss out on the experience and seeing your true manifestation come into form. I don't know if I've explained that to you well, but literally. So, as you see the mountain crumbling, I hope you can at the same time glance up and see the shooting star. It's beautiful. And what that shooting star does for you. Okay? So remember to rest. And if you are playing both roles, or if you're not even both roles, but if you have a lot of responsibility on your plate, find resources. Find resources. Yeah. Just the word resources. Find that. And I'm sure you will align yourself with the right type of resources, with the right people. And then you can find a way to unload and move these tools and requirements that you need without having to injure yourself, or without it having to be too much for those that are helping you. Mm. I hope you receive all of this message with love and light, and that you find yourself to be enough. And I hope that you are having fun on your healing journey. I know there are some rough ones when you are healing old wounds that come up, but every time you release one and you get to come up for air, take in that deep breath and release, and enjoy that moment where nothing is going on, where it's just you and this beautiful world. Okay? I love you for tuning in. I love you for choosing to be who you are. I love that you honor you and respect and value you. And I honor that you look for ways to help you stay fully grounded in who you are. If you want to see how I'm blooming, you can see my page on Instagram. It's also on the False Journey Across the Bridge. I also have a cooking page on Instagram where I share with you guys all the traditional and amazing food that I am making for me and my family, mostly plant-based. So check that out. Find Herbs Catering on Instagram. And apart from that, anytime I want to come and share with you guys some jewels or some tools, some realizations for my healing journey that I'm experiencing, that I've realized, and that can help you, I come here on YouTube to share with you guys. So as you're tuning into False Journey Across the Bridge, I hope that you are subscribed. If that's something that you want to do, I hope that you click the like button if you did enjoy the information. And if you don't mind sharing the video, if you've liked the information, only after you liked it, because if you really like it, then you click like, and then you must share it, right? Maybe someone else can benefit from it too. And if you do like, tuning in and hearing some of the gems and jewels that I have to share, then click the notification bell. So that's a whole mouthful right there. But I wanted to come and say hey and share with you guys about show up as you are, know who you are, male, female, man, woman. How do you show up? What is your lifestyle? You have to remember, you're not an item being purchased at a store, even though that's still practiced some places, okay? And if you know that who you are, it's a great person, and you want to share all your wonderful experiences with someone else who's great, then remember that all you can do is ask the right questions and see how people are already living their lifestyle and see if that's something you want to merge yours with theirs. That's it. That's all. All right? Stay warm, and hopefully we enjoy winter and do some winter activities. And for those of you who have the sun and the warmth, I hope you enjoy it for the rest of us. All right. Bye for now.